Hi, I'm Dameion Brown, artist in residence at Marin Shakespeare Company. During this strange time of shelter in place, I thought it would be great to share with you interviews with some amazing theater artists. This is the first in the series, an interview with the transcendent actor Tristan Cunningham. I hope you'll enjoy. Well, good afternoon, Tristan Cunningham. It is a pleasure to
Oh,
see you again.
thank you. It's a pleasure to be here or be connected virtually.
This is our new here.
Right. This is the new normal.
Right. So first congratulations on all the wonderful things that you have been doing in your field. We appreciate
Oh,
that. And just know that the Bay Area still claims you. And
as they
appreciate.
should. I still claim them too. It's mutual.
All right. Well, if you don't mind, I have a few questions for you if you would share with us, and I'm pretty sure everybody gets some great value out of what you have to share. Um, how would you describe your experience with the LA art scene?
Um, yeah, the LA art scene. It's been an interesting experience. I've been here now. It's getting close to 2 years. So I'm kind of getting familiar with the art scene or what it is. And I think coming from the Bay, I feel like at least the theater scene and the films and stuff that are going on there, it's smaller, so it's a little bit easier to kind of like tackle it. But LA is a lot larger, so it's taken me some time to kind of, I always say, like, get my toes into the dirt and figure out what the art scene kind of even is in LA. Yeah, and it's definitely it's different than the Bay. There's similarities, but it's different.
Okay. What are some of the major differences? As
Um,
certainly with work.
yeah. So I think when I first came down here, when I had left the Bay Area, one of the beautiful things was that people knew me. I would walk into a room and they'd say, "Hey, Tristan, what's up? Oh my gosh, I saw you at Cal Shakes," or something like that. And that feeling like kind of warms your heart, and you feel like, okay, they know me. Let me just come in here and do my thing. They're on my side. But in LA, nobody knew me at all. And nobody was saying, what's up, or talking about work I'd done in the past when I walked in the room. It's faster here. You know what I mean? They're like, they're doing it, and television moves fast. And so they're doing a lot and they're trying to do it fast. No shame against that process. I get it. But it took me a second. I'd walk in expecting to have a conversation or, get to show those sides of my personality. I like to realize with acting that we're people in a room trying to make art and not forget that. But it's fast in LA. There's not a lot of time for that kind of personal connection. So that was a big difference. And then in LA, for me, what I have found, and this is just my journey, everybody's journey will be different. And I advise you to own your own journey and not, try to do somebody else's. But for me, it became very apparent very early that I needed representation to kind of, get into the rooms that I wanted to get into really any room. When I first got here, and in the Bay Area, I didn't find that. I felt like I could kind of be the agent of my own career, my own manager.
Right.
But here I submitted, I would submit to LA Casting, and we have San Francisco SF Casting in the Bay, but I would submit to LA Casting maybe like, you know, 10 to 20 things every day with no response at all.
Wow.
So yeah, like the first couple of weeks, I was like, I've submitted for like over 100 things and nothing.
Oh my God.
Nothing, even like readings that were like $50 stipends. I was like, come on, just let me do a reading. So it became clear that representation was something that I wanted, because I think you can get seen in LA without it, but it's definitely a little bit more challenging.
Okay.
So yeah, those were some, some big, oh, and then the other big difference was that social media kind of holds some weight here in LA.
Oh, really?
And I didn't find that in the Bay. I didn't feel I had to have my Instagram at a certain place, but
Yeah.
if you like it or not, it's definitely, it's something in LA.
So when you say that, that's interesting. What types of things should a person be paying attention to with their social media activity?
Yeah, okay. It's a good question, and I'm still learning. I just laugh because my manager just had a meeting with all of us about politics and what is okay to post. And being someone who cares a lot about the world and this country, and especially like what we're going through right now, like it's hard not for me to not express all of my feelings on social media. So we had a good long conversation, and I'm not saying she said I couldn't do it, but we had a long conversation about what is okay to post and how does it affect your career. And
Yes.
so yeah, that was, we came to an understanding that for me, it's important for me to, because I'm someone who feels comfortable using my voice. That's an important aspect of who I am as a human
Yes.
being. And acting is my number one. Of course, we all know this. Same like you. It's our passion is there, but also being true to who you are as a human being is, I think, always more important.
Yes.
So we kind of came to an understanding that the posts can be. I'm still going to post what I feel, but kind of thinking about the words I'm using. So
Right.
it ended well. um,
It's good.
but yeah, so what I realized early on, I had a commercial audition and they asked for my Instagram handle. And I had never been asked to put that information down at an audition before, never in the Bay Area and never in LA until this day. And so I kind of asked them and they were like, they kind of look at how many followers you have. And my heart like broke. Like, I don't want to, I don't want that to be an aspect of my acting. You know what I mean? Like, I just want to do my audition and do my thing. And you cast me because you want to work with me and I'm right for it.
Right.
But I had to accept that for certain things, and I don't think this is true for film and television, but I've found from a couple actors I've spoken to with commercials that, having a good following on Instagram can get you into certain doors because obviously that means that you will watch their commercial.
Right.
Or people will watch their commercial, excuse me.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. That's it's interesting about the political post because with my director friend Leslie, I was talking about this interview and I said, I know Tristan is an activist.
Yeah.
So, and I know that there are a lot of things that you feel and a lot of things that you can share and much that you have to offer. But I wanted to be very careful not to bring any of that into this because I don't want to, on the borders of the fringes, damage anyone's hopes at other work. There are places and there are times for that. This is not it.
Right.
So I'm just happy to be getting the jewels that you're sharing with us right now.
Oh, well, thank you for, thinking of that. And I do consider myself an activist of a sort if I'm, lucky enough to say that. And I think and I know there's other actors who are the same because I think they kind of, the willingness to use your voice can kind of tie in with the willingness to, embody other people and tell stories.
Yes.
So I think it's like it's a journey for actors, and I think we should, talk to each other. What are you comfortable sharing? What are you not comfortable with? What, are you willing? Some people, I know I have friends who they don't care. They want to speak their mind, and if someone doesn't want to work with them because of that, then they don't want to work with them either. So like some people take that route too. So it's a day by day learning process, at least for me.
Oh my goodness.
But I will probably usually speak my mind.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a brilliant mind. We appreciate it. And I think
bless you.
One of the first impressions that I received of you after seeing you in the Taming, which you were Best Actress, the Bay Area Theater Critics Circle Award. It was wonderful. I was happy to join you that night. And I saw you at a rally after that. And then we completely missed each other at a rally. And I didn't know my way around San Francisco very well at the time.
Okay.
And I was somewhere that I thought I was in my mind.
but in reality, I was on a whole different street. And I don't know if you recall that, but we missed each other, and I was saying, like, I'm here. Like, well, I'm here. But
Right.
But you are very much an activist, and I think it's always a benefit when smart people, when passionate people, and people with compassion gain a platform by which they can reach the minds and hearts of the multitudes and those few who make the decisions.
Yeah.
I think it would be just wonderful to have you on that platform. And I know you're going to do that wherever you are and what you do. So thank you for being you.
Well, thank you.
Pleasure. Are there some people I've had conversations with in the Bay, have notions about going to New York, going to LA, trying to get in the industry. You hear a lot of things from the fears, the hopes of people. And when you have that conjecture that comes based out of those things, a lot of myths can arise. Are there any myths that you may have heard before you went to LA that you can bust for us today?
Yeah, well, I want to say I'm so glad that you were at that rally, because even if we saw each other or not, that stuff, means a lot. But anyways, we'll leave that where it is. I just had to get that in there. Yeah, myths. Oh, my goodness. So I was terrified to go. So I went to school in New York. And I started acting professionally in New York. And I was not the woman that I am today at that time. And New York it beat me up a little bit in the sense that I wasn't in the union. So I waited in lines for a very long time to audition. And by the time, this was my narrative, we all have our own narratives. But by the time I got seen, I felt like they were pretty tired of seeing people. And, there was, a line of women that looked like me or were more beautiful in my opinion, and probably as talented or more talented, who knows? So I felt a little bit in New York like I wasn't who I am, and I had a hard time kind of like, what do I hold on to here? I feel like I'm just like down here throwing punches at nothing. So then when I came to the Bay, one of the beautiful gifts of the Bay is there was less people, and I felt seen there. I remember my first audition in the Bay was for Stuart, I can never pronounce his last name, Bousel, and it was for The Frogs, that play. And I actually had a broken Achilles tendon when I was auditioning. So I kind of like hobbled in there, and I was like, what am I even doing? Like, they're going to be like, girl, get out. You're not. And I did my audition. He watched it. And I was like ready to leave the room, because I had been like, I had New York on my mind. And he was like, when are you healed? When will your foot be healed? And I told him the date, and he was like, that's perfect. And I was like,
wow, wonderful.
You're considering me with my cast on my leg? So, and then he just talked to me about studying in New York, because I went to SUNY Purchase, and my degree and how I felt about it. And like, I was in the room for like 10 minutes, which was, it's like an eternity after New York. So that gift of the Bay of sort of being seen and getting a chance to kind of find myself and getting a chance to shine, so many companies gave me that chance. Marin Shakespeare, like letting me, take the role of Kate in Lauren Gunderson's play, The Taming, like, trusting me with that wild play and giving me the tools to go on that journey. I feel like the Bay, lets people shine. And then, wait, I lost track of the original question.
No,
it was gonna get, oh, the myths.
You were giving so much good.
The myths. I got excited. So the myths. So okay, so that's where we landed in the Bay. Sorry, I had to give the history to get there.
Good. It's good.
So we're in the Bay, and you know, the Bay Area is it's such a like little nugget of wonderfulness, you know. But I felt the pull to go to LA, and I had some auditions here in LA. And so I would like, you know, take the bus down, ride the mega bus through the night and show up and audition. And I bombed so many of those because I just wasn't grounded. You know what I mean? I was, number one, tired. And number two, just like not physically being here was challenging for me. So I felt some pull to go to LA. Now the myths, the fears, the things that came up for me, it was like, am I good enough? Do I know enough about film and television? I come from circus originally, which is the biggest, like loudest, you know, sort of performing art form you can get, you know, 3-ring circus. It's like, I'm huge, you know, and film is supposed to be this subtle, like, small. Do you feel me? Yeah, exactly. And trust that the camera. So I was like, you know, am I even right for this? Am I a good enough actor? Will I get representation? You know, is my resume like beefy enough? So all those kind of like myths or fears came up, and they're real, but I feel like the biggest thing I want to bust is if you're good enough to be in LA. Because I think we put Hollywood on a pedestal, because obviously these incredible, you know, Joaquin Phoenix and these incredible Viola Davis people are here working, but you are worthy of being here too. You know, there are good actors here and there are not good actors here. And there are not good actors here who are making it. And there are great actors who are not making it, just like anywhere. So that's the first myth I want to bust. Like, are you good enough to be in LA? Absolutely. Just like you're good enough to act anywhere, you know?
So important to hear.
Yeah, it is. Because it was a bit, you know, I let go of that like maybe 6 months ago. I was still holding on. Am I like good enough to be this LA actor? It's a narrative we're creating. You know, the question we should ask ourselves is like, am I good enough for myself? Am I happy with my work? Do I feel proud of what I do? Do I feel like I'm growing? You know, those are the questions. Location is, and then, you know, another myth is that like, maybe not a myth, but a feeling is that like, it's scary here because it is faster. And these, you know, it's like more quote unquote cutthroat, these casting directors, like, you know, if you bomb in the room, it's like, yeah, it's over, you know, you'll never work in this town again kind of thing. Or these are the monsters in my mind. And, you know, there's some truth to the fact that it's faster. And I think that that's what I've realized is the main thing. You know, television, it's like continually changing. Even when you book television, you know, my first co-star was like, I got the call sheet the night before, and then I got there and they did the makeup and the hair, and this person, you know, art department is pulling me here, and they're like, oh, the nurse has to have a pen in her pocket over there. No, she doesn't have a pen. And then you're finally on set. And then the rehearsal, Damien was like, they were like, all right, you're going to walk over there and then you're going to talk to him. And my first co-star was with Damon Wayans.
Oh, wow.
And I grew up on In Living Color. In Living Color, I was a fly girl. I was you know, my mom would be like, can you not like kick in the living room? But I was a fly girl. So that, you know, the stakes were high. I was like, Damon Wayans, but he was so kind. At one point he grabbed my hand. He was like, hey, let's run the lines. So he was kind, but it was so fast in theater. In the Bay Area, I think they, you know, and this is something I love, we take a little bit more time because we really, the product, we're not just product oriented, we're also experience oriented, I think, in the Bay. And that is such a gift. And like, you don't quite get that time here. And so it's not that, to me, it's not that it's scary or that it's like you have 1 second to make it. It's just like the motors are running a little faster.
Okay. Well, those are some very, very important things to remember. Tristan, you do so much. I mean, you're an amazing acrobat, a delightful, funny, hilarious clown. You are a stellar actor.
Aww.
You're a wonderful humanitarian. You're an all-around wonderful human being. And then if that wasn't enough, you're beautiful.
I could be saying this all back to you too, just so you know.
Oh, well, one of us will be honest about it. In the midst of this pandemic, with all of those talents that you have, how do you keep those chops? those things, or are they so innate that you got this?
Maintaining chops. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think I have it solved. I'm still trying to find balance. And I feel like for all of us, like, how do you, I think about that with like theater companies right now with everything that's going on and just actors in general. Like, how do we find balance and like the ability to like have schedule when you're like, I'm not even sure when an audition is going to pop up, or, or if I'm going to be booked or not, or, even like you book something, you're like, what's the rehearsal schedule? I don't know. So I think like, yeah, maintaining chops is an interesting thing. Now, personally, I find pleasure in the juxtaposition of also doing circus. Because it's acting, I feel like, this is just me, but I feel like there's never like, okay, I got the assignment, I typed it out and I handed it in, check, boss says good job. Obviously we get a lot of praise. It's such a blessing to be an actor because like literally people clap for you every time you do something. But it's never that, you're never done, which is like even a hard thing to like say out loud. It's like we're always growing, or you feel, you did strongly in this piece and then you get this other audition and you're like, what is even happening with this character? Like, so I feel like you're never done, but the circus, it's more technical. You can always learn more tricks, but it's like, all right, I train and I got that trick. I train and I got that trick. So for me, it helps with the balance.
Okay.
And I think as for me, what I found as an actor, and especially in this like quarantine time, is like the balance, because it's been hard. We're always hustling,
right?
Always trying to find this next job. And what happens when it's a global pandemic and there is no job to be had?
Yes.
It's like, what does one do with oneself? I've been on this hustle for like, 10 plus years.
Right.
So it's hard. And I've never experienced anything quite like this, where it's like, we really are not able to work right now. And it's not clear when that will happen. So it's like, now we're really getting tested. What is your balance? How do you keep the chops up, and what do you do with yourself? And I suggest it's a great time to learn how to juggle.
I may need a couple of pandemics before I get a handle on it.
I'm happy. Everybody can hit me up. If you want to learn how to juggle, I'm here for you.
All right. You said that, Tristan. You go
right.
For the young and the newcomers in the art world.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them that they could take with them? I work with some young people in Stockton juvenile prisons.
Okay.
And they're just getting into this whole thing. And then we have kids with camps that we work with at Marin Shakespeare Company.
Yeah.
And then there are older people who are just newcomers.
Yeah.
What advice can you share that could help them navigate that journey?
Well, first of all, welcome. Join us. It's a fun line of work, and I try to remember that always. Like, we literally get to play for our lives, and there's a lot of politics to it, obviously, and it's tough. I'm not saying it's easy, but like always remembering that it's called a play for a reason, and even if you're doing the play on the screen, it's still a play, and we still get to play, way back when we did dress up when we were younger, we get to play, and that's a real gift. So I try to always kind of keep track of that. And I lose track of it. I'm not perfect, I'll be like, why didn't I get that? But remember the play. But that's something that's been important to me to try to hold on to as I grow as an actor. So for newcomers, I think too, when I was figuring out my journey, everybody told me what was best for me. Everybody kind of had a different agenda. And what I realized is one of the best skills or things that helped me was to take their information and utilize the parts that worked for me from it. But really, it's your own journey, you know, and there's so many actors that have taken so many different venues to get to where they are. You know, some have trained for years and years and years, and some people kind of, you know, stumbled into something and found that they're really good at this. You know, there's an actor from the Bay Area named Rebecca Frank, and, you know, I had gone to SUNY, I'd done all this training, and we did this show together at the Cutting Ball Theater called Tenderloin, where we interviewed people from the Tenderloin and then played the people we interviewed. It was one of her first plays, and there was no difference in her performance as to other people. She had found, and then she went, you know, to New York and got training after, but she had found her way. So, you know, I don't think it's ever too late. I don't think it's, you know, if you have this calling, like, go for it. I think there are some things that can help you if you're just going to, you know, jump in and go for it. I think training, always staying in training however you can, is great. And that doesn't mean money. You know, there was times when I couldn't afford classes, and you can train yourself. When I first came to LA, you know, I knew I needed a commercial agent, but I wasn't financial. I just moved, so I wasn't financially in a place where I could get some guidance around that. So I just drilled myself. I would look up commercials online and do them over and over and over again. And then one day I would test myself. I would look at it for 10 minutes. Then I would turn, my camera was over here. I'd film myself and see how off book I could get it. We can train ourselves too. You know, we can train ourselves by reading plays, you know, doing our own script analysis, you know, recording ourselves. If you have a cell phone, record yourself, see what you look like on camera,
right?
You know, do monologues for your friends, get feedback. So I think keeping the muscle going, the more you practice, the better you get, you know. And in the beginning, you know, auditions feel scary and stuff like that. The more you do them, they're still scary, and I still get nervous. Whew, let me tell you. But the more you do, the easier it gets. It's like circus in my mind, like a muscle, you know. The more you work your muscle, the more you get it. And then I think, you know, the biggest thing that I learned is when I'm okay with myself as a human being, acting aside, everything aside, when I am, you know, healthy and, you know, giving myself lots of love and practicing self-care and, you know, doing the things physically I need to make my heart happy, then my acting is just better. So it's a all around take care of yourself thing.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate the time that you've given us today. It is priceless, and I know people are really going to enjoy that.
Aw.
Keep you much longer, but I do want to ask you,
sure,
where can we view some of your work? And it may be too soon, but what's next? We do any of us know that?
Right.
Where can we see some of your work?
Yes, work. Oh, the other thing I want to say is Theater Bay Area, TBA, was such a good tool for me when I first came to the Bay. I totally forgot about that. So, and that's important for the newcomers. Someone had handed me the Theater Bay Area magazine. I don't even know if they make the magazine anymore. Do they?
I believe that they still have journalists doing
okay.
exposés on people. I've done one, so.
Okay, so yeah, so someone had handed me that magazine when I first got here, and it was such a tool. And I know, you know, to join them, I think it's like $45 or $50 a year. Okay. But I'm sure if there's a newcomer, if you can't swing that, I'm sure if you write them a letter, they will pull you into this community. So that TBA was such a tool. And then, the last advice I have is if you love a theater, you know, I loved Cal Shakes. I loved it. I saw a play there early on, and I targeted in on that, and that opened up to me working at many other Shakespeare companies. So I think if you love a theater, do anything you can to kind of get into their family, get into their, get in front of their eyes. When people see you, they can place you. So if you have a place you want to work, target that place and just just be present there in any way you can. You know, I understudied there for free, for EMC points, actually, for 3 summers before I actually got to work there.
Wow.
So, but my eyes were targeted. So, okay, sorry, side note.
That's, thanks for sharing that. And I know that they had their eyes on you as well, because I've never seen you get on that stage and not kill the role. You've been wonderful in everything that I saw you in, and having you as best actor twice with TBA award is, my goodness. And the previous one, and who knows what else. I'm hoping for an Oscar for you soon. You know,
Well, I love that. Thank you. Speak it. You know, speak it.
You are definitely of the caliber to win one, and we get that opportunity. But are we going to be able to?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I can see some of your work.
Yeah. So I think up next, or some stuff that's coming up is Quibi is this new, it's short for Quick Bites. It's this new streaming app that's really exciting for us actors because it means there's just a lot more content, and they're 10-minute episodes. And so Quibi is doing a show called The Fugitive, starring Kiefer Sutherland. And I have a little scene in episode 3 on that show. And it's with amazing, really sweet actor called Boyd Holbrook. So, and Quibi is saying that they're going to release The Fugitive in April. April's almost over. So hopefully it's coming soon.
All right.
So you can see me on there. I have a little co-star on that show. And then I'll be voicing a voice in a new video game called In Plain Sight, which should be coming out next month. And if you look on YouTube and you put in Fireside In Plain Sight, you'll see the all the information for the video game, so you can get that video game too if you want to, you know, hear my voice and play some games. My character's really, she's funny. She does cuss a lot though, so be ready for that. This is like not for my small baby students. This is for the grown students.
Right.
So those are 2 things that I got going on. And then what's next? There's a lot that's up in the air.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a commercial potentially that I was going to do that's still kind of in limbo. So it's hard to say in the future. But yeah, it's too soon to know for that stuff. And there's a potential film that's kind of up in the air too. But one thing that I'm really trying to, because I was driving to the rehearsal for the commercial, and they called me and said the rehearsal's canceled. And I kind of knew when things were all canceling, but I still I burst into tears just because it's I was having a hard time accepting that things are slowing down, you know, and that we need to take this pause. So I think, you know, having those things up in the air, I'm really trying to embrace the pause and say, you know, it's okay. If it's meant to happen, it'll happen. And if it's not, it won't. And it means that we'll do something, you know, another door will open, or I need to put my energy somewhere else, or, you know, so if that's anything for anybody else out there, you know, the pause is tough, and feel all the feels, feel whatever you need to feel, but maybe, you know, it will guide us in a different way. In the way, you know, in a way we're supposed to be. And I think too, one of the greatest, I'm trying to see the gifts of this quarantine, because, you know, it's tragic. People are not okay. And, you know, a lot of people are getting hurt by this or passing away, which it's heartbreaking. Yes. But I think some of the, you know, positive things I'm thinking of is that there is a real need for art, you know, and I think people in this quarantine are really realizing that there's a real need for live theater. People are missing it.
Yes.
You know, my go-to, I've watched more television and movies now than I ever have in my life, because there's a need to see that stuff, you know? So I'm hoping that when we come out of that, you know, as a country, as a culture, as a world, we see the need for art. It is so needed.
It is.
We are needed, friends. So if that's any, you know, light at the end of the tunnel, we are needed. Our work is needed. Yes.
Well, it is definitely needed, and I thank you for answering the call.
Yeah.
And again, I really appreciate the time that you spent with us today and for sharing all the valuable information that you have with
Absolutely.
the listening audience. Always so delighted to see you, always delighted to see you work. Always sending positive vibes out there for a wonderful future for you.
Oh, thank you. Right back at you, brother. I feel the same, and I'm honored to get to do this, and especially with you. That means a lot to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Tristan. I appreciate you. You have a very wonderful rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Stay safe.
I shall.